study. And also, besides multilateral negotiation like CAR meeting, we also use APEC, G7, and G20 groups to push. And also, full implementation of the current action and goals commitment, because I think under current NDC cannot achieve the 2 degrees. That's why the GST is very important. But GST only think about the global gaps, not go to the country. So how to make this kind of a global go to and to give more encourage to update our NDC next year, I think it's very, very important. And so the GST is very key issues. So we have a lot of discussion based on the GST and other related topic like farm issues. We have some key areas for the cooperation. I think first one would be the technology innovation. We must cooperate to reduce our cost, reduce the technology, but also reduce the cost for transition. I think the third one is just transition. I think including the just energy transition and other transitions. And also the bridging of financial gaps. With a diversified fund. Even the first one, I think developed countries should realize the 100 billion US dollars. I think this year, I think like this money more transparency, and also double adaptation fund. And yesterday we just approved our loss and damage fund decision. I think need more money, and also I think for China, we would like to push South-South cooperation because we have a South-South cooperation fund on climate. So I think we'll use Green BRI and South-South cooperation to contribute, by China's current efforts. So it's about the loss and damage, and also the difficulty that I think China will have some potential contributions to the loss and damage, and based on the law, based on international rules. And then I think strengthen the North-South cooperation. We can use the third-party cooperation model and also the similar model to push the North-South cooperation in some area, to prioritize the area. So I would like to stop here, and if you have questions, I would like to answer later. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Dr. Wang Yi, for the keynote speech. Actually, we'll take questions maybe at the end of next section together. So if you have your questions, we can hold it until our next 4 speakers made their presentation. And so in Dr. Wang's presentation, it also highlights the capacity building as one of the key areas for international cooperation and next steps. And for the next, I will invite colleagues from the Center for Climate Strategies from the US, Shanxi Co-Share Innovation Institute of Energy and Environment from China, and Guangzhou Institute for Energy Conversion of the Chinese Academy of Sciences, and my colleagues at the Global Environmental Institute to sit on the stage. They will present actually showcase a case of how US, China, and Southeast Asia countries collaborate on a capacity building and technology transfer on low carbon development planning, and also how the toolkit actually assists local policymakers to make policies that meet dual goals of carbon emission reductions and also economic growth. So please get on stage.
Hi everyone, good afternoon. Thank you so much for joining our side event. It's a great pleasure to be with you and to be with our partners from China and have this opportunity to share the success of our bilateral cooperation that lasted almost 10 years. And we are still trying to do more work together and bring the success of our collaboration even outside China. So before we get started, just a few words about myself. My name is Arianna Ugliano. I'm Senior Project Manager and Policy Analyst with the Center for Climate Strategies. The Center for Climate Strategy is a US-based NGO. We are in Washington, D.C., and since 2004, we have been working with governments in the US and abroad, national, subnational level, on climate action planning. So we support governments in developing low carbon development plans, low emission development strategy, NDC, everything that's related to reduction of emissions, greenhouse gas emissions, but also achieving other goals. So throughout our work, we have developed a toolkit, what we call toolkit, low carbon development toolkit, that essentially an integrated system model that supports decision makers and analysts throughout the process of developing a low carbon development plan. It's a very transparent and user-friendly toolkit because it's basically Microsoft Excel based. So it's a huge spreadsheet, but it's very transparent. So everyone that knows how to use Microsoft Excel can easily understand how the toolkit works, can see formulas, can see where the data come from. So as I said, we developed the tool throughout our experience in working as US organization in US and abroad. And the tool supports the entire process of developing a low carbon development plan. So that means each phase of the process is supported by the tool. So the toolkit covers all the sectors: energy supply, energy demand, building, transportation, industry, agriculture and forestry, waste management. It covers all different metrics. So greenhouse gas reductions, costs, macroeconomic implications, and help the decision maker and analysts in any jurisdictions to develop business as usual scenarios, to identify policy actions, to see the impact of those policy actions against the baseline, so the emissions that are reduced, the costs, and so on. So it's very integrated system. In 2008, we started our collaboration with our partners in China, GI and the Chinese Academy of Science. And the main objective of this partnership, as I say, lasted almost 10 years, was to equip subnational officials and analysts in China to develop low carbon plans. So to be able to actually conduct the analysis needed to develop those plans. So I would say that we basically work throughout two different work streams. So our partnership was really meant to co-develop the tool. I use the word co-develop because we started from the tool that we already had developed in US, but we customized with our partners to China, to the country and the subnational government's priority needs. Data were available, so it became really localized to the context. And in doing that, we didn't do by us as organization coming in China, but we work with our partner. We work with analysts coming from our partner organizations. We did workshop. We had online sharing system of information. So it became a learning by doing process. Our partners learn about the tool, were able to enhance the tool to their needs by working on the tool. And then we moved to the second phase that was actually piloting the tool at subnational level in China. So we did that in 18 cities, 13 provinces. So again, it was a way to actually test the tool, enhance it, and was just not just like taking the tool and start to use it, but was and that's why we call it localization of the tool to China. The tool is also comes with a full training program that was developed as part of this partnership to enable others to use it. So I know my colleagues will tell you a bit more about how our partners, in China started also to continue to use the tool outside China. So that was really one of the second objective of the partnership, to create something that could be brought outside and expanded, its use expanded in the region. What I also would like just to share with you that as a second phase of our partnership, we focused then in South China on renewable energy, and we actually expanded the tool to move from planning to implementation, because that project was much more focused on implementation. So the tool was enhanced also with financial analysis that enabled to do to look more at the implementation side. It also was able to be integrated with other models like GIS analysis to be able to localize where there is potential for solar. And then, as this is outside this partnership, I've continued to use the tool, and we still use it today. We have even created a simplified, more interactive version of the tool. We have enhanced the tool even more in terms of financial analysis, or in terms of macroeconomic analysis, and we are looking at expanding the tool for its use also on the adaptation side. So look at the co-benefits of climate mitigation actions in terms of adaptation, because as you know, many actions, even if they are labeled as mitigation, climate mitigation, the reality they can have adaptation benefits. So this is just to say there is a huge potential for this tool that was born together, that we created together 10 years ago, to continue to be used and continue to be enhanced and expanded. And with that, I leave the floor to my colleagues. Thank you.
Hello, I'm Qi Yan from Shanxi Coastal University Institute of Energy and Environment. Shanxi Coastal is a local independent non-profit organization. Today, I'll focus on assessing renewable energy potential using PV resources as an example. Many include 5 parts. We studied Caijiaya village in Xin County. Shanxi province is around 166.7 square kilometers, with about 27,000 people. Xin County has plenty of natural resources, such as coal and bauxite. In 2022, GDP ranked 42nd among 119 counties in Shanxi. Xin County generates 6% of electricity locally in 2021, with 90% consumed by one industrial enterprises. In 2022, there are over 50 energy naval PV stations, totaling about 100 megawatts in capacity. Our assessment of Xin County's PV potential used GIS analysis, identifying suitable areas for PV equipment. We got the daily GHI of Shanxi from Solar GIS. Caijiaya village has good has good solar conditions with a PV corridor covering about 5.3 million square meters, estimated to have about 23 gigawatt PV capacity. We also evaluated rooftop potential about cost benefit. Caijia has about 520,000 square meters of usable roof area, potentially supporting 2.2 gigawatt development. We stress our ownership coverage and data connection easy when picking demonstration buildings. For instance, Gigo Village's rural residential building roofs covering about 89,000 square meters can generate 26 million kilowatt hours yearly. The estimated initial investment cost is about 66 million yuan. In addition, rooftop PV involves many stakeholders. Its advancement cannot be achieved without a reasonable and effective management model. Recommendations for the PV business model offer different choices for rooftop owners, such as needs for fixed fees for steady income, or needs to PV companies for a minimum 10% revenue share for higher returns with risks, or share profits in a combined or co-investment model for stability or high risk tolerance. For the county-wide PV program, we proposed a joint governance model. The government coordinates and supervises while the investment company and the residents participate in project investment and development as per their preferred methods. Also, establish a joint energy skills training school could ensure professional project operations. So, the above is the application of renewable energy tools in Shanxi, and we hope to further promote it. That's all from me. Thanks for your attention.
Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen. I'm very happy to have this chance to share with you some of works we have done to promote the achievements of NDC goals in Belt and Road countries. Today, I would like to share with you the renewable energy implementation toolkit in biomass of Guangdong province. Compared to other renewable energy sources, such as solar PV and wind, the sources of biomass are varied. The calorific value and the treatment methods are also different. And there are many biomass utilization technologies which can be directly combusted, gasified combustion, mixed coal combustion, etc. The figure shows the coverage of township boundaries, forest, cropland, water, and so on. And in Guangdong province, the biomass resources mainly include agricultural residues, forestry residues, and wastes. And the above formula I used to calculate the amount of biomass resources because some biomass raw materials can be used as fuel directly or to produce biogas. And these types of biomass should be calculated both the biological mass and biogas production. And the orange part indicates the biomass resources has been utilized and need to be removed. And the following two formulas are used to calculate the technical potential of biomass heat generation, and the electricity generation. These are the results of the assessment of biomass resources in Guangdong province, including the main resource of each biomass, major distribution, residual amount, heat generation, electricity generation, and so on. And in this figure, the darker the color, the greater the potential. And we can see that the red straw and the red husk are mainly distributed in the west part of Guangdong province. Forestry biomass is concentrated in the Lawson part, and solid waste incineration plants are relatively concentrated in the Pearl Delta region. The cost of biomass power generation includes the cost of feedstock collection, transportation, power plant investment, operation and maintenance, and other costs. In order to determine whether a certain biomass technology is economical, we calculated its levelized cost of electricity and compared it with the cost of coal power. If it's lower than the cost of coal power, it proves that the biomass technology has economic potential. And in this table, the economic potential are expressed in terms of the amount of electricity generated. And if it is zero, it means that the biomass technology has no economic potential. Since price of coal fluctuates, we use two prices with a 9% fluctuation in the benchmark coal price. And the table data shows that the three power generation technology can realize economic potential. And these maps are the economic density of power generation technologies with economic potential. And they are basically distributed in the western and eastern regions of Guangdong province. Before discussing which technology is more suitable, we often analyze the relevant local policies, including feed-in tariffs, subsidies, fiscal and tax incentives, and policies that affect biomass development, such as the shutdown of small coal-fired units in Guangdong and strict restriction on new coal-fired units, which directly affect the development of biomass coal combustion technology, although it has economic potential. And when we choose the most suitable technology, we always design a survey questionnaire, which includes several quantitative and qualitative analysis indicators. And then distribute the questionnaires to industry experts, government authorities, and related enterprises based on the scores of quantitative and quantitative indicators. We draw bar charts of various technologies. The larger the bubble and the horizontal axis, the smaller the vertical axis, the higher the technology priority. And other conclusions will be also summarized, such as the type of biomass resource, the collection radius, and the location suitable for the construction of biomass power plants. Due to the limited biomass resources in Guangdong province, the feedstock collection radius exceeds 300 kilometers, resulting in a very high cost of feedstock. Therefore, the financial output of direct combustion power generation technology are not optimistic unless there are policy subsidies. And the gasification power plant has good flexibilities. It's small stored machine. Less raw material demand. The financial output of 2 biomass gasification power plant is relatively good. We can see from the table, although the levelized cost of electricity for 2 megawatt and 6 megawatt projects are greater than the cost of coal power. Both of them are less than the benchmark electricity price, that is 0.75 yuan per kilowatt hour, and the payback period is less than 10 years. And at the same time, we conduct uncertainty analysis and sensitivity analysis on key indications. Based on the above analysis, we conduct some conclusions about the development of biomass power plants in Guangdong province, including suitable biomass power generation technologies, the power generation potential, and the carbon emission reduction of various technologies. Power plant site selection and the raw materials, material collection radius, and the main factor affecting the financial statement of biomass power plants. And this is the biomass power generation planning implementation model of Guangdong province, which provides a detailed explanation of what stakeholders need to do at each stage. And that's all my content. Thank you very much.
Good evening, everyone. My name is Cui Nanying from the Global Environment Institute, or GEI. Tonight, I will mainly introduce the achievement of the GEI work in Indonesia from 2022 to present. The first work and report was completed in 2022. The Beyond 207 gigawatts Unleashing Indonesia's solar potential report is calculation of the technical potential of the photovoltaic solar power in Indonesia using Geographic Information System, or GIS. The second work is ongoing project about Indonesia's national biomass power generation potential. There are some results of GEI with the Institute of the Incision Service Reform, or IESR, who is our works partner in Indonesia. The main finding of this report is that the potential of the solar power in Indonesia reached 16 to 95 times bigger than that of the national technical potential, with about 207 gigawatts, equals to 3,300 to almost 20,000 gigawatts, both in terms of the technical potential for electricity generation, or potential reached 4,700 to 27,000 gigawatts per year, with the land requirements of the 4.4% to 24% of the total land area in Indonesia. Through our analysis, such as Borneo, Sumatra, Palmyra, and Java have the largest technical potential, which is due to the suitable area in Indonesia. Technical potential itself, by definition, is a technical potential capacity, potential electricity generation based on suitable land area that can be achieved given the limitation of the system. Example, the suitable of the land system and the suitability, and also geographic, or in other words, technical potential is an upper limit for development potential, not as a market potential or an economic potential. There are 4 main types, named the exclusion of the land that does not fit, that's emission of the land suitability, that mapping of the PV output, and the Last is the calculation of the technical potential for the generation of electricity. In the analysis of the land requirements, we use the three types of the land: exclusion, slopes, land cover, and also the protected area. For slopes exclusion, we use the 10 degrees. Where above the 10 degrees, the land is considerable not suitable. Then we also exclude the land cover based on data from the Ministry of Environment and Forest in Indonesia. The last is the exclusion is protected areas such as the Natural Reserve, Wildlife Secretary, and also protected area based on the land. Covered classification provides that there are 23 types of the land cover, where we use the several scenarios to exclude land that are not suitable for PV development. We found that there were 9 total suitable land covers that would be used in the analysis. Then we divided those 9 land covers into several scenarios. First, all of the 9 land covers are considerably unusable. Second, we reduced some of the land cover of the plantation forest, the dry farmland, and also dry farmland mixed with the shrub. Well, for third scenario, we exclude the transmitigation area and also settlement. And for fourth scenario, we exclude the dry shrub after area of the suitable lands were obtained. We did calculation, use the conservation factors to get the potential technical capacity and also electricity generation, and then put the numbers to the map based on provides so that the following map was obtained. And we can see the green part is a suitable land, and the red color is meaning it's a suitable land but not suitable for the slope. Why our report important? Indonesia needs to accelerate the energy transition that can be start from the electricity sector. Solar PV is one of the most dominant technology based on the investment progress and capacity addition. They are driven by the decline panel pressed drastically in the last decade, with the region 90%. However, Indonesia has yet to utilize the decline in solar panel price ultimately. In RUPTL plan itself, the planning for capacity addition for solar PV only reached 908 megawatts in 10 years between the 2019 until 2028. At the end of the 2021, Indonesia, the electricity installed capacity itself is 80% dominated by fossil energy plants. Coal power plant, for example, dominates by 15% of the total existing generation capacity. Solar PV installation itself only reached 158 megawatts at the end of the 2020, which is still a very small percentage, below the 100. Renewable energy mix in energy generation itself only reached 12% to 15% in 2020, while coal reached up to the 64% in the same year. Therefore, this report can be used as the resource of updated geographical data to support the use of the solar power, especially in the electricity system planning. After we finished the solar power potential report in September 2022, GEI and IESR formed a biomass potential reached team and officially launched the National Biomass Potential Research in Indonesia. As the end of the now, the team has sorted out a total of the 5 main biomass resources from agriculture and forest across Indonesia. The chart shows the type, quantities, power generation potential, and the installed capacity of the biomass resource for Indonesian main crops and forest. The main types of biomass resource are plum, acacia, rice husk, and coffee. The annual year amount is a total 190 million tons. Electricity generation potential more than 275 billion gigawatts. Installed capacity are 39,282 megawatts. From this graph, it can be seen that plants will be the main source of the biomass power generation in Indonesia in the future. Using the GIS system, identify the distribution of the 5 main biomass resources on the map. From the geography map, it's clear which the region of Indonesia are home to these 5 main biomass resources. And we can see the map, and the green one is the road. From this one is acacia. This one cocoa. Let's change. It's coffee. This one is paddy. It's paddy. I cannot see. It's plum. And the last slide is we put them together. It's all of the biomass resource in Indonesia. Next, we will continue to use the GIS system to analyze the distribution map of Indonesia's solar powered grid and existing thermal power plants, and ultimately confirm the area suitable for the development of the biomass power plants. We will also provide technical cost, investment analysis, and carbon reduction benefits of biomass power plants. This report will be completed and published in July 2024. That's all my presentation. Thank you very much.
Thank you for all the 4 speakers. So the Renewable Energy Implementation Toolkit, or the REI Toolkit, was actually derived from the CCS LCD Toolkit as from the energy sector part. And then so we actually used that REI Toolkit to assist policymakers in terms of identify science-based renewable energy planning and deployment plans, and also to provide policy recommendations in terms of whether under current policies these RE projects are bankable or not, and if it's not bankable, what kind of policies they can use to make it more bankable and profitability to encourage investments. So I guess actually the Indonesian part of the work was also in collaboration with the Institute for Essential Services Reform from Indonesia. And then so next, actually, I will invite Fabi Tumiwa, Executive Director of IESR, to actually give more perspectives in terms of how China and the US or China and the EU can actually contribute to the energy transition in Indonesia in the future. Fabi, please. Do you speak? Yeah.
Thank you, Linjia. I don't make any presentations, so allow me to speak, and also to say that our collaboration with GI in the last 3 years, I think it's really fruitful. The solar map that we did together, and it's actually changed the landscape of the government perspective of the potential of solar. Just to tell you the story, that if you look at any official document from Indonesia, and I think it's well recorded before we published this report in March 2021, you can see that the number of solar energy resources in Indonesia is very, very small. I think the official figures as a government is only like 400 something gigawatt. So we, as a solar practitioners, renewable energy practitioner, we really like to challenge that number. Right? But for years that it is lack of tools to assess real solar potential in Indonesia. So when we did this study, I think for a year or so, and then we published the report, and we present that report to Ministry of Energy and Mineral Resources. That was early 2021. And after we submit that report, we transparently show this kind of methodology, right? And And after that, what government did actually use that report, and Ministry of Energy assigned their own research and development group to use the methodology and to assess the number, whether we made the number or not. So after 6 months, you can see that the government figures start to change. Right now, if you look at the official government figures of Indonesia, solar energy resources is around 3,200, very close to our numbers. Well, there's a different kind of how they assess a land availability for solar. And so, and that's changed a lot in terms of our energy planning, because now the government has more confidence in pushing or promote solar in our energy development plan. And you can see after that, actually the landscape is changed. And when ISR also published the study later on, the decarbonization of Indonesia energy system, that was in 2021, with higher penetration of solar in our energy system, it's kind of accepted, and also drive the other study run by IEA and IRENA that show that solar can potentially become the backbone of a future Indonesia energy system based on renewable energy. So this is to show how actually this kind of study really make impact in terms of drawing up pathways toward decarbonization of energy system. And as colleague from GI mentioned, that currently we are doing a study on biomass, national biomass potentials. I think it will be also, we hope that we will have a similar impact. And we see that now we are, it's not only that, but with this kind of study, because in case of biomass, we are working together with local government to assess this, also look at a local government perspective. And we can see that it brings a lot of excitement as well as new knowledge to the local government. So it's not just about the study, but the process itself really build capacities, build understanding, new knowledge, and all stakeholders that we engage in this process also aware that actually there are more potential, and it gives them encouragement to think beyond the business as usual. So that's something that I think very, very useful. And again, as Indonesia right now has aspired to transition our energy system away from fossil fuel. Right now, fossil fuel share around 86% of Indonesia energy. And as you may know that Indonesian government has already stated that we are going to become net zero by 2060 or sooner. Power sector, I think it's set to become carbon net zero by 2050. So, and in order to that, I think we can only meet this goal if we can have three key ingredients. So three elements that could support rapid energy transition in Indonesia. First, of course, we need appropriate technology to harness the potential of Indonesian renewable energy resources. Compared to other countries, Indonesia has plenty of renewable energy resources. Solar is the one, but also we have hydro, we have biomass, we have geothermal, we have wind, although we're really, really small, but we still have a wind, we have fast ocean energy, and so you name it. The official government figure stated that all renewable energy resources around 3,600 gigawatt, right? But our study shows even double that size for the moderate solar radiations. Right? So it is true that we can meet our future energy from renewable energy, but we need the right technology. In addition to that, because solar is dominant in this case, so we also need energy storage technologies. And as Indonesia is the archipelagic countries where we have a number of islands, so we need kind of transmissions and distribution. So we need the technology like HVDC, HVAC, smart grid, intelligent control system, and even electrolyzer to produce green hydrogen, and energy efficient technologies for industry and manufacturing are all required. That's the technology. Second one, we need investment and financing. To achieve net zero energy system, we must invest in new and clean technology while gradually phasing out old, dirty, inefficient fossil fuels technologies. Our government has estimated that a total investment of $1 trillion is required until 2060. So in average, we need around $30 billion annual investment for the entire energy system. If you heard about JETP, Just Energy Transition Partnership, we just launched the Comprehensive Investment Policy Plan that has just launched a couple of weeks ago. It's actually one step to decarbonize the power system because it's focused on energy transition in the power sector. And with the JETP target to limit the emission of power sectors of 250 million tons and reach 44% of renewable energy by 2030, the investment requirements around $97 billion. And the JETP financial commitment only $21 billion. So there's still like a gap. But financing is very, very important, not just financing, but also I have to say that we need kind of concessional finance to make renewable energy can compete with fossil fuel, as well as to meet the purchasing power of Indonesia people. According to ISR study, if we want to become more ambitious, follow the Paris, I call it Paris compliant energy transition, the investment even higher. We need like 1.4 trillion by 2050. So is that become net zero in 2050? So it's even higher. And it's require an annual investment beyond $30 billion annually, and raising around 445 billion by 2030 onwards. So the third one, what we need is, we need to establish local clean energy manufacturers. For instance, solar PV. Right now, most of the solar PV we have to import from China. The question is, as everybody looking or seeking for this technology, how Indonesia can secure this technology to support our energy transitions. It's not only that, but also energy storage and other type of clean energy technology. I believe that energy transition should benefit the local economy, and Indonesia government has considerable local content regulations, and it means that in the future that the implementation of clean technology has to be manufactured domestically, and I think this is what we actually need. The other thing, which already raised in the beginning, we need kind of the capacity building, and I think improve our knowledge fast. I think as we plan to increase higher renewable energy penetration, the design of our power system and the entire energy system should be different from now on. I think if you look at the plan, that to increase, for instance, with the JETP target, that by 2030 we plan to install 29 gigawatt of solar PV. It never happened before, right? So how to accommodate this power system that able to hold or connect 29 gigawatt of variable renewable energy. So we never have this kind of such level before. So while our utilities are building more renewable energy, I think the evolution of the power system also should be taken into account. And that's what we think that collaboration with other countries in terms of technology, planning, and design of the new power system is very, very important. So that's kind of area of cooperation that I think we can do better, Indonesia, China, and also Indonesia with other countries to support the rapid and scalable energy transition. Thank you.
Thank you, Fabi, for sharing your insights. As the world actually increasing its deployment of renewable energy, there's also increasing demand actually in terms of critical minerals like lithium and cobalt, and also there are a lot of legislations recently in the EU and the US in terms of Critical Minerals Act, etc. So I guess that will also be a lot of discussions and debates internationally about how critical mineral resources can better contribute to the just transition in some of the countries like Indonesia, like Congo, etc. So next I will invite Mr. Lai Yun from the Global Witness to share about his insights on this issue. Please.
Thank you, Jimmy. Where I can use. Okay, good afternoon, everyone. I'm Lai Yun. I'm a senior advisor at Global Witness. I'm happy to have this opportunity to share with you guys about the climate change and the just transition. So today, my shared topic will be just transition and transition minerals campaign. And so before that, I will quick introduce about the Global Witness. Global Witness is a pioneer organization in seeing the link between the natural resources and the conflict and corruption. We have investigate and explore the environmental, social, and governance problem in oil, gas, and mining and timber sector, and to influence through the global finance and political system. So today we continue our work for most urgent issue like climate emergency and attack on cyberspace. So about what is a key transition minerals? What do we use them for? As you may know, like transition minerals is a very critical component of clean energy transitions technology like power, storage, battery need a lot, the lithiums and the copper. And power generation, like wind energy, solar energy, need a lot of rare earth. So I think the critical minerals is a wide use in the clean energy and technology. So based on that, who is the producer country of the transition minerals? So far we know like the minerals generally, most of the minerals is coming from the global south, especially in the DRC, Myanmar, and Chile. So nowadays we need to develop the energy transition. So we have to use a lot the minerals from those countries in global south. So while this critical issue for the climate debate, I think the move away from the fossil fuel and toward clean energy technology drive demand for transition minerals. A huge increasing demand create the economic opportunity for global south. So we know like a lot of the country in the global south, they need the support to develop the critical minerals. But on the other hand, we have to see the huge potential, the pitfall, like environmental damage and corruptions and loose land for community. So we need a just energy transition. Can Global North mine its way out of the climate crisis? So this is one thing we need to think about. So we know, like in community nowadays, we can see a lot of news from the local community against the minerals explosions. So when we, based on the IEAs and the data, we can see if we need to reach the net zero, so we need investment a lot the new critical minerals. So based on the business as usual model, so heavily influenced by industry, over 50 projects will be influenced the conservation zone and 80% on the land dependent people. So protests are growing and overlanding right, but also override abuses and corruptions will be happen. So our campaign about the transition minerals is hope to raise awareness and challenge the negative social environmental governance risk face community by transition minerals. So it's advocate the greater transparency, accountability, and regulation in mining industries. So world must transition from our dependence on fossil fuel to green renewable energy source, but we cannot shift from one industry of extraction to another. Instead, we must move forward and just equitable energy transition that benefit all the people and the planet. So if we need to achieve the objective, we have to mitigate the impact of strengthened standard of the transition minerals investment and the supply chain. Advocacy for just revenue and distribution and equitable deal making for transition minerals investments, and calling for the meaningful mandatory the process ensure the global south sector are effectively involved the decision makers. So when we can talk about China, actually China in the minerals play a very important role. We can see the China overseas investment in metal and mining to reach record level in this year, and new contract will reach $10 billion in first half of this year. So China is the world's largest producer of e-vehicle, battery, solar panel, and wind, over 35% global totals. And China is play another very key role is refining transition minerals in the world. We can see over 90% rare earth, 75% lithium and cobalt, 40% copper, and 35% nickel. So lots of these critical minerals is refining in China. So we can see that China play a very important role. Yeah, this is some of the data. We can see the more and more investment in the critical minerals. And indicative supply chain of the critical minerals, based on the China play the role, we can see that China also is the world's largest consumption and importer of minerals. So in the different area, like the mining, of course, China not too much the minerals, so China have to import a lot of minerals from other countries, especially from the global south. But for the processing sector, we can see all of the China will be involved, all of the different transition minerals. Okay, so this is one of the map. We can see the mining and the refining. All of the minerals were coming to China. So based on that, we know like ESG issue are biggest challenge for China face in the overseas investments. the highest number of allegations of abuse was found in metal and the mining sectors. So we can, according a lot of the report and the case study, can show like the ESG problem in the other countries is the biggest challenge for nowadays. So this suggests that the high-risk sector of Chinese company operating abroad. But when we look at the regulation and the policy in China, we have to see addressing the ESG issue around the Chinese overseas mining is very weak because the Chinese government, the regulation, not including the overseas mining activities and investments. So most of the China-related on the mining, the sector law or regulation is only inside China. The Ministry of MEE and the Ministry of Commercial jointly issued the guidelines for ecological environmental protection in foreign investment cooperation and the construction projects. So based on that, yeah, this is good guidelines, but it's only the guidelines, not the regulation. So that's why it's cannot to make the company in the other country, the behavior will be followed, meet the standard, whatever in the local country standard or the national standard. Okay. Last one is about the industry associations. Yes, we can see like the CCMC, one of the mining association, issue a lot of the guidelines for Chinese company in the other countries' behaviors. Yeah, our work related to China, of course, we will cooperate with the Global South and the Global North CSOs and work together and share the advocacy space with the CSO to keep the public momentum on the critical minerals. And last one is about the policy advocacy work. So push the change after investigation report. So we have done a few of the report about the lithium in the Africa and the rare earth in the Myanmar. So I think the Global South partnership is important and critical to build up the people power and better understanding the problem. So we need to work together, whatever in Global South or in Global North. Okay, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Ms. Lai Yun. So this will actually conclude our speakers today. And then, so I guess if the audience have any questions, we can have our speakers answer for this section. And if anyone have questions? Okay, so if no, do we have any questions for online because it's live streaming?
No, we don't have.
Okay, great. So then I guess we'll invite Mr. Hongpeng Lei. So, you have questions? Oh, sorry. So you have a question?
Hi, can you hear me okay?
Yes.
Thanks so much for those brilliant presentations. I'm Jesse Ronabiker from Princeton University and Rutgers University in the US. I have a question for Wang Yin, a question for Ariana. So you mentioned and talked a lot about South-South cooperation. I wonder if you can talk a little bit more concretely about what sectors are driving South-South cooperation. Are you seeing it coming largely from civil society organizations like GEI? Are you seeing it coming largely from state support? Or you see it coming from private industry? If you could talk a bit more about that. Related, you talked about some of the financial mechanisms to support Global South cooperation, and one of the big things that have come out in the last couple of years is the Kunming Biodiversity Framework and the Kunming Biodiversity Fund. I'm curious if you can update us and talk a little bit about where the Biodiversity Fund is going to be allocated and how that will be used. And then for Ariana, I wonder if you can talk a little bit more about some of the ways for developing this tool to be used in the future. You talked about the ways in which it's been used in 18 different cities. I wonder if you can talk a bit about what you learned from that, how you could expand on the tool, either for other cities within China or other urban contexts elsewhere. Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. I think for the South-South cooperation, it's not only the single sector can do this work. In China now, I think, for example, we have South-South Cooperation Fund on climate. I think basically up now I think several the key sectors, including the DRC, and also we have a state international cooperation agency. And also, if you go to some specific areas, go to the different ministry, for example, water issues, the environmental pollution control, and also that like climate. Yeah, so go to they need this kind of governmental agencies cooperation to implement the project. We also the South-South Cooperation Fund also supports the NGO. Program. I think the GI have do the similar work. What's her project? You mentioned, for support the South-South Cooperation Fund, support the GI. What's her name?
It's the one in Myanmar about the climate aid program.
Yeah, I think we identify some key areas for the aid. That's for the private, I think up now, I think we also have some cases, but maybe the GI can give you more detail on this. You also mentioned about the biodiversity fund, but the GI also have a similar work, and you can answer this question in detail.
Yep, so actually GIA has been working a lot with the Ministry of Ecology and Environment in China in terms of assisting the provision of the climate aid in kind to a couple of countries, including Myanmar. And we're also having actually provide a consultation services for them to do a assessment in terms of how the performance are of the South-South Climate Aid program and how to improve it. On that. And for the Kunming Biodiversity CBD, we've worked with the ministry also to mobilize CSOs in Africa and Southeast Asia to participate in the dialogues with some of the key policy stakeholders during the process, and also to mobilize corporates and Chinese companies to make commitments to the CBD action plans. So these are actually all the guidance of the ministry on that.
Thanks so much for the question. So in terms of potential, this is a Microsoft Excel tool. So for its nature, is very flexible because allows to focus. It's basically made by several sheets, right? They are all connected among them. So one of the first way that could be further used, and actually we are already kind of using outside China, is sector focus. So you saw that they have already implemented a lot. I mean, they use the tool for the renewable energy projects they did. So this is just a version of the same tool focused on energy. So we have been using that specifically for the waste management sector. So the first really potential of the tool is the sector focus. The other potential is to link the tool to other tools. So this can be just like the GIS system, for example, right, to identify location for renewable energy potential, but could be other tools. So we have used, for example, the tool together with the LEAP model. That's basically a software developed that support energy system assessment, so the broader energy system in terms of demand and supply. So the tool is linked to LEAP in the sense that takes input from the LEAP model, and then they become, takes output from the LEAP model that become input to the tool to be able to do other kind of assessment. So and we have used that with another tool, like it's called Exact, that's developed by FAO, it's forestry sector. So you have also that potential of linking the tool to other tool or other model, even software-based models. Then the other potential is to actually expand the tool. What we are looking at is to add monitoring and reporting and evaluation component to the tool, so that basically the output of the analysis of the toolkit are able to support the MRV system. As I mentioned briefly earlier, it's becoming more and more important for jurisdiction to look at climate mitigation and adaptation together. So those are not really all the time. I mean, one thing like that the climate adaptation policy just deals with adaptation and mitigation just with emission reduction. That's not the case. You can design a climate mitigation actions that also has adaptation benefits. So, and having a tool that enables to look at both, it's really something really helpful. So that's the other area where we are looking at. And we started to work on the financial assessment as well with this toolkit with GI, but we actually have expanded that under other projects and in other countries, Ghana, Trinidad and Tobago. So we have enhanced the climate finance, and this can be, expand even further. So I think really the beauty of the tool is that it's very flexible because it's not a software. Right, so enable you to customize to really the need and connect to other models. Thank you.
Hi, this is Lin Zi from China Dialogue. I have a question for Mr. Wang Yi, because you mentioned China is contributing to the global energy transition, and also at this year's COP, the triple the global renewable energy capacity is a very hot topic. So I'm wondering, how do you see triple the global renewable energy capacity, this global goal? What does it mean to China? And how can China play a role in this? Thank you.
Thank you very much for your question. I think China now support the triple renewable policy because for China, I think it's not only the development triple renewable by itself, but also support the other countries. I think for the production of the renewables in China now, I think last year the total production, I think it's almost 200 gigawatts. I think maybe in the next 2 years it will double, and then double again. Yeah, I think in 5 years. So main problem, in my opinion, is triple is okay, but more difficult is to establish a new power system. That's more difficult. For example, in Indonesia, it's just the first step for the renewable development. They just use feed-in tariff can reduce cost, but in the second step, I think we will introduce more policies. Yeah, I think so. That's why China would like to cooperate with other countries, including the European countries, US, and to establish the new whatever the energy system or power system. Because in China we must phase down and phase out coal, but in the other countries, in Europe and the US, must phase down, phase out the gas. So I think we will have similar challenges, and we must cooperation for the energy transition, but also the just energy transitions in other developing countries. So that's the common challenges we must face and will resolve. Find the ways to resolve the problem. Thank you.
Thank you very much for the questions. As we're getting actually to the closure time, I will at last invite Ms. Hong Peng Lei from the Children's Investment Fund Foundation from UK to give a final remarks.
Thank you, Jilly. Thank you all so much for coming today. I will definitely be very short because I don't want to be the one, standing in between your long day and dinner. I want to, we heard a lot of fantastic insights from our presenter and also all the good discussion. I want to highlight 3 things. The first one is so obviously that we need a collaboration to address this global challenge. We mentioned the U.S.-China Sunnyland Agreement, which is fantastic with the overall background of U.S.-China relationship. We also heard a lot of Indonesia, China, Myanmar, China. I'm sure many colleagues are also working on with Africa, with Brazil, etc. Actually, the tool shared the most today is a good result to show that's the U.S., China, and many other developing countries collaboration. So that's the first one I want to highlight. The second one, what to collaborate. I think we discussed a lot about technologies, about the standards and the tools. We talk about policies and practice, capacity, local manufacturing, etc. We talk obviously most is about the finance, JETP, China's BI investment. We talk about both the grant but also private sector investment. These are all the areas we need to have more collaboration. Lastly, how to collaborate. There's obviously many challenges, as mentioned by Professor Wang Yi in the beginning. There are geopolitical tension, many unilateral, actions which kind of slowing down the global, system for addressing climate. I guess what we can do is really to strengthen the, communication, the dialogues, to understand each other better, to have more tailored, targeted discussion like today. Because in the end, we want to achieve the transition in a just way, as many of you mentioned. It's about a just transition across countries, across communities. I think that's a future everybody in the planet should enjoy. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hong Kong, for the conclusion remarks. Very short, but concise. So I guess that marks all our side event today, and we actually definitely looking forward to work with all of you and love to see more and more collaborations among North-South-South addressing climate change, and also to help to increase the confidence to achieve or even enhance the Paris Agreement targets of all the developing countries. Thanks so much for coming, and have a good night.